Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new to my channel, welcome to my channel. My name is Toni Bryanne, and in today's video, we'll be discussing the influencer to mean Christian girl pipeline. Yeah, we're about to get into it. This has been a hot topic all over TikTok, and not just TikTok. I personally have been wanting to talk about this for a very long time. A lot of people that convert into Christianity, which is an absolutely beautiful thing, believe that they are now Jesus Christ himself, and they can judge everybody on this planet who is not acting accordingly. And Christianity has seemed to gain a lot of popularity in the influencer space. And as somebody who implements their faith in their content, this girl right here, I have seen specifically commenters that act like they are holier than thou, that they can tell me whether or not I'm a real Christian, or whether or not I can speak on certain aspects, or whether or not I'm allowed to listen to a certain kind of music or review a certain kind of product. Everybody just thinks that they're Jesus Christ himself, and I just have thoughts. So we have a lot to discuss today, but y'all know I like to bless every video and add a lot of positivity in each video. So let's first start off with the quote of the day. Today's quote of the day is, "Creative energy surges through me and leads me to new and brilliant ideas." Today's verse of the day is John chapter 4, verse 15, and it reads, "If anyone acknowledges that Jesus is the Son of God, God lives in them and they in God." And without further ado, you guys, let's get straight into today's video.
Taking you in this moment.
Christianity has gotten incredibly popular in the influencer realm and even in Gen Z as a whole. A lot more young people are actively going to church. More people have been choosing to actively speak on their growing faith and discuss how they have become a follower of Christ. And the religion in general has been heavily promoted. I don't know if it's just on my timeline, but I have seen a lot of verses of the days. It's been more common to share your testimony. I genuinely find this to be incredibly refreshing and beautiful, especially when it takes away from the more common things we see on social media, like baby mama and baby daddy culture, whether marriage is a piece of paper or not, the normalization of sex work and hookup culture. It's just nice to see people promoting different types of lifestyles. However, many people have become increasingly uncomfortable with the behaviors of these newly transitioned Christian influencers. They have been very much in your face about them transitioning in their faith, and it has definitely rubbed some people the wrong way. So this video is going to be broken down into why I believe some people have decided to become Christian influencers, and then also highlighting aspects of these Christian influencers, more particularly the problematic ones. But before we get into that part of the video, I want to thank the sponsor of today's video, MD Hair. So as a girl that is into sew-ins and protective hairstyles, I have to make sure that I am taking good care of my hair. And that's something that I have been lacking on recently. So last year I got sew-ins back to back, which led my hair to grow very much so. But the hair that was out, which was the front, has been fried, dyed, and laid to the side, okay? So due to me getting two sew-ins back to back, my hair broke off so much. This hair right here, you guys, my little bangs, okay? They used to be down here, but my hairstylist chopped them off because it was very much breaking off and she wanted it to grow out evenly. And you know what? I was very upset about it at first. But believe it or not, you guys, these little bangs used to be up here and they have already grown tremendously. And the only different thing that I've incorporated in my hair care routine was MD Hair. MD Hair is the world's first medical grade hair growth treatment kit that is customized to the exact reason as to why you are experiencing hair loss. Their website uses a quiz along with AI in order to exactly pinpoint where your hair loss issues are coming from. So you take the quiz, take a picture of your scalp. That scalp photo is then analyzed, and you are given a customized treatment kit catered directly for you with the right ingredients needed for your hair problems. Do you guys not realize how incredible that is? The proof is in the pudding. My little Dora bangs were here, and now we are at eyebrow length, a little bit past eyebrow length. My hair is growing like wildfire, and that is all thanks to MD Hair. Now, you guys know I never, ever steer away without giving my lovely subscribers an amazing promo code so that y'all can get started on on your hair growth journey. MD Hair is offering 70% off your first hair growth kit. And this monthly kit comes with full size products. So you guys are not going to get skimped out on these little travel size things going on that these other companies try. From their hair serum to their conditioner, the shampoo, and then the supplements, you guys will be making a very good decision by switching over to MD Hair. Use my code that is on the screen right now. It will also be in the description box down below so that you can try out your first month of MD Hair for 70% off. Thank you so much, MD Hair, for sponsoring this segment of today's video. So let's start off with, why is it that Christian influencers are becoming more of a thing? And I will say primarily in the single woman space. There's always been Christian influencers, but a lot of the times when we would see Christian influencers, it was Christian couple influencers, and we still see it today. You'll see Christian couples promoting how they got married at 18 or 19 and how they believe in being fruitful, which means having several children and not necessarily waiting to have children. They talk about going to church, dressing modestly, reading the Bible, how to raise your children, so many different things. We see that all the time, but now we are seeing this a lot more with the single girl influencers, and not just any single girl influencer, the single girl influencers that used to be kind of like the hot girl. And what I mean by hot girl, I mean just like your typical girl you see that will, you know, go out to the lounges, go to the clubs, get drinks, take cute photos. Just a girl that's like into herself. She's into her looks. She likes to look good. Those girls we are seeing more and more end up being more modest and joining the Christian influencer space. But the question that many have is, why is that? What is so special about being a Christian influencer all of a sudden? Now, we can happily go the good route and say, hey, it's because people want to spread the word of God and people had a calling or they were inspired by something. But there's one thing that I've noticed just a little bit, y'all. Please do not try to misconstrue my words. But to me, it seems a lot of these newly founded Christian influencers have decided to go down this route as they've gotten older. And what are women typically searching for the older they get? A husband. Right now, the trend, or should I say aesthetic, that has been getting very popular is the old money aesthetic, soft life aesthetic, just like a more luxurious look. And a lot of creators, mainly dating coaches, suggest that if you dress more modestly, you will find a man of value. And what does the Christian wife aesthetic look like? A woman that's modest, a woman that looks wealthy, well-groomed. And what does her husband look like? A man of God, obviously, well-polished, dresses in suits, dresses like the old money aesthetic. Just think of the church clothes that you see people wear, especially when you're down south. I see this more down south than I did back home, but people really dress up well for church. So a lot of people are suspecting that these women are trying to find husbands, and in doing so, they're beginning to go to church because these dating coaches say you need to find a man of God. And where are you going to find a man of God? Where else than other the Lord's home? And when you are a woman that is quickly approaching 30, or you're in your early 30s and you still are single, you still have not found the one, or you constantly keep dating Mr. Wrong, what does it feel like your last resolution is to do? Go find God. Go seek God. People literally say they pray for husbands. They're begging for husbands. And in order to find a good man, we're told we have to go to church to find that. An example of this will be with Alexis Sky. Alexis Sky is a known Instagram model, and she has been known to be dating several rappers such as Fetty Wap. And she recently talked about growing a relationship with God, and she started dressing more modestly and speaking about God.
For those that's been following me, I have been on a spiritual journey, and I have been, getting closer to God, and I've committed my life fully to Him. There's a lot of things that I've changed, and I haven't really shared this with any of my friends or family because it's not really for anybody else to understand. If they get it, they get it. If y'all get it, y'all get it. But I'm telling you, it's the best thing ever, giving your life to Him. And it hasn't been easy. Every day it gets harder and harder for me because I'm so used to living a certain lifestyle. I'm so used to living a certain way. I'm so used to making this amount of money. But that's because I was doing everything the wrong way. And that's why everything was coming so easy for me, because obviously, that's what the devil wanted. But, now things are just becoming a little bit harder, but it's okay because it's, God is testing my faith and my faith in Him and my belief in Him. And I got discouraged again the other day. I just launched another business, but I don't really want to get too much into it. But I got discouraged the other day, and I had to stop and be like, Alexis, no, you're not gonna give up. you're going to keep going. Like, this is what God wants you to do.
But that quickly switched up. Alexis began going back to her old ways. And when she was questioned about this, she said this.
So I had to like address it, you know, because it's been like a year now. I kind of just been quiet about it.
Okay.
I think when I did start my spiritual journey, I was going through like an identity crisis, or like I really didn't know what was going on, and the person I was dealing with, just the people I had around me, kind of was in my ear. I'm not ashamed that I found God because I love God. I think that I had people around me just telling me that I had to be a certain way, and I was a little confused on what direction to take.
Okay.
And I think just being vulnerable, I kind of just was like, okay, let me just change. And I really wasn't ready to make to those decisions, because at the end of the day, this is how I started my life. This is how, you know, I put food on my table for my kid. So to just make a drastic change and expect things to just, I know God, you got to trust God's timing, but I'm a single mother. So at the end of the day, I still got to make ends meet. I'm not saying I chose money over God, but I wasn't fully ready to do certain things, and God knows my heart. I think it had a lot to do with the person I was dating, the people around me. They were making me believe like, oh, you're never going to be a wife if you do this, or you're never going to do this, or you'll never be accepted if you don't change this and certain things. And I knew I had to change certain things in my life, but yeah, like I'm still Alexis. Like you guys knew me as Alexis Sky from the beginning this way. So I get it. People could be disappointed in things, but this is part of life. This is part of growing pains. This is part of just whatever it is. Wearing revealing clothes was, I didn't want to do those things more because somebody was in my ear. I'm not going to even say who. It could have been family, relationships, friends. It was people in my ear telling me. And I was really sitting there thinking to myself, like, maybe I do dress like this. Maybe I am like too naked, or maybe but this is how I became who I am. Like, so why would I change that? You know what I'm saying? When I wasn't fully ready to change, and I was allowing other people to dictate my decisions. And once I really just like snapped out of it, I was like, no, because even when I was doing, I would, in y'all's eyes, the right thing, it was still wrong.
Alexis Sky is the reason why I do not trust any influencer, any popular content creator, or celebrity that decide to announce their spiritual journey. One of the main reasons why they decide to take on this spiritual journey or religious journey is because they're trying to attract a man. Always make sure to pick a religion or spirituality that aligns with the type of guy that they are trying to attract. These women have been around so many men. They know that the men love them. They really love them and, you know, enjoy being around them. But a lot of them don't like them enough to make them a wife. A person's got to love and like you to make you a wife. And like Alexis has said, and I've noticed a lot of her preaching was around, oh, the type of man I want, the type of man I want. She was ready to be a wife. Alexis was tired. She was tired of being everybody's like lust, you know. You know that these men only want you to be around them for one reason and one reason only. Nobody ever wants to make you their girlfriend. Nobody ever wanted to claim, you know, not even Fetterwap wanted to make her a girlfriend and claim the child. He was forced by society to claim the child, only for us to find out that the baby was never his to begin with. You know, she's tired. She wants to be a wife. So I understand why she faked this whole religious journey. But then she also didn't know that becoming religious means that you got to stop being a high class.
Brittany Renner's another woman.
There was a video that I did in my car where I was talking about how I had sex with, was it 3 men in a day? Yes. And then I ended up getting a yeast infection. Yes. I came out pretty unscathed for just a yeast infection. Right. Considering what I could have gotten. Right.
But did you think
I think about the ramifications of telling people that I had sex with multiple men? Yes, I don't care. It's the truth. If you don't see me as a potential dating person, then great. One less heart to break. Leave me alone, and I'm going to continue to live my truth.
She's another person that's considered an OG in the influencer space that decided to opt out of that space when she hit a certain age. And it seems like, you know, there's newer and younger girls coming up, and she was seeking a husband, and Alexis may have been doing the same thing. And the only way people say you can find a husband these days is if you center your life and your spirit around God. A woman of God is going to find a man of God. So it's like, are you just deciding to change your faith because you want a man, or is it because you really want to? to. And please, if for instance, Brittany Renner truly decided to lock in and become a proud follower of the Islamic faith, I am going to give my heart to her. But, you know, it's just a little suspicious when you see people at a rapid rate converting to religion. So it's not only that, wedding and marriage content has gotten increasingly popular on these social media platforms. I literally just did a video on wedding culture and how people are spending a bag just to get married. So wedding content in general is just massive right now. People love the aesthetic of being a fiance, planning the wedding, going on the honeymoon, and how I found a man that actually wanted to propose to me. And then after the wedding happens, being a stay-at-home wife, being a stay-at-home mom, being a homemaker. All these things are trending tremendously. Think of Nara Smith. Think of Sophia Richie. Think of every bachelor and bachelorette contestant. Their weddings are going viral every second of the day. This content is trendy right now. So with this, it can seem as if these women are promoting a certain aspect of a lifestyle versus really being a fully devoted Christian woman. So the question comes, are these women truly fully devout Christians? Or are they just doing this because it's what's trendy right now, and or they're trying to find a husband? And considering the way a lot of these women speak, a lot of them speak in becoming a partner whenever they're doing their Christian content. They speak on finding a husband and how they've prayed and written to God about getting their husband. When being a Christian is so much more than just being a wife. There's so many other aspects of Christianity, and quite frankly, the Bible promotes singlehood and talks about how it's such an important chapter in your life. In Corinthians 1 chapter 7, Paul discusses singleness, and he describes it as being a gift to people to be able to fully focus on God without the distraction of marriage. And he even encourages those who are single to remain as such. The Bible constantly affirms women that are single and tells them to embrace that chapter of their lives. However, it seems as if these Christian influencers just talk about seeking a husband and not seeking themselves.
Why do so many Christian women like almost idolize the idea of having a man of God? I'm not saying it's wrong to want to be married or be a wife. Like, that's totally fine. I'm saying it's like you're idolizing the thought of having a man of God as if, like, that's, like, your only reasoning as to why, like, you're serving God or you want to be a Christian or, like, you want to live right. Like, you're doing it all for you to one day get a man of God. I'm just confused. Like, do you know what I'm saying?
There's so much more to life than seeking a husband, but that's mostly what we constantly see. Now let's get into these ladies, okay? I already spoke on how they constantly talk about finding a husband and securing that husband and how to be a wife, and they don't talk about any other aspect besides that. Now, not always, y'all. Don't clock me. I'm just speaking about what we mostly see, or at least the content that goes viral. Let's discuss how judgmental these women can be, because, whew, they really can be judgmental. So I see a lot of elders speak on the younger generation and say, like, you guys don't go to church anymore. People are missing God in their lives. That's the issue with this generation and the issue with society. And quite frankly, I completely agree with them. I think a big problem with our society and a big problem with our generations, more specifically Gen Z and even millennials, is that we are not centering God in our lives. I think God is missing, and there is a lot of people doing everything outside of the way that God intends us to be. However, I believe a lot of people have chosen to leave the Christian faith, or at least chosen to not be as devout in their Christian faith because of personal traumas in the church. And a lot of those personal traumas circle around judgment, isolation, exclusion, and lack of support from the people in the church. Christianity overall has a reputation for being very judgmental. And I will speak from my personal experience because I know a lot of people have chosen to leave Christianity or not be as devout due to their own testimonies. So I am someone that has gone to Catholic school primarily most of my life. I went to Catholic school from 4th grade all the way up to college, you guys. I graduated from a Catholic university. It was a Jesuit school, but it's a Christian university. So all of my education has been centered around Christianity. I may have shared my testimony to you guys. I'm not sure if I have fully, but when I was in high school, I began questioning whether or not I considered myself to be a Christian. I began saying things along the lines of, I'm more of a spiritual person. I don't identify with a religion. And that was because I dealt with a lot of judgment from the Christians, or should I say the Catholics more specifically, in my school. It was mainly the elders. A lot of the teachers were incredibly judgmental and just horrible, mainly to the girls, and never acknowledged the fact that a lot of us young girls are growing and learning. When you are someone that is a teenager or a preteen, you're starting to explore a little bit of who you are. You're starting to realize you're getting a little bit of a body, so you may want to accentuate that part of you. That's just what teenage girls do, hence why they're the main ones wearing all the crop tops and all the booty shorts. Is it okay? Absolutely not. However, there's a way to guide children without making them feel like they are being judged, because they're just not going to get it. Once again, they're learning, they're growing, they're evolving. And a lot of the times, these things are just phases when these girls are into that. However, my school was just super extra, like especially in my elementary school, more so my middle school, they were so extra. If a girl was wearing a dress that was not the length of her knees, everyone was making whispers and making her feel uncomfortable. That is not okay for a student or a child to see. So this example is just one of many that people have when they are in the Christian faith. I also began doing a Bible study group that my mom signed me up for. And I remember they were always telling us things that we can't do and that we shouldn't do, instead of telling us what we should do. You know what I mean? It's all about language. It's all about placement. It's all about those things. So in the Bible study group, we constantly heard masturbation is wrong, and if you do it, you're going to hell. And having sex is wrong, and if you do it, you're going to hell. It was just all of this condemning. And once again, as a child, once again, these are kids. When you constantly hear what you can't do, it makes you want to do it even more. And let me just say, a lot of the kids that were at my Catholic school and a lot of the kids that were in my Bible study group, they were not doing very holy things. And we all know them girls that had the strict parents or the overly religious parents, they were doing everything, okay? Let's be real. We at least know one girl, because it's always the daughter. They don't really care what their sons do, but their daughter, they gonna make sure she's locked up and she can't do anything. But she was doing everything, because they're always gonna find a way. When you tell a kid no, they're gonna find reasons why you're saying no, and they're gonna find it out by trying it out themselves. I think overall, a lot of Christians forget grace and understanding. We're so quick to just say, you're wrong, you're bad, you're bad, you're bad, versus just trying to see and understand why someone acted the way that they did. So in doing that, a lot of people were steered away from the Christian faith. And thankfully, guys, I am now a strong and proud identified Christian. And I think that was due to a lot of people around our age that brought Christianity back by having more uppity type of Christian music, which we'll get into a little bit later. So please let me hold that thought. But I think with the more progressive churches and the more progressive music that is more aligned to the youth and the younger generations, that is what's bringing people back into the faith. And me included, I went to a more progressive and inclusive church, and I felt great ever since then. I did hit rock bottom when I started going back to church again. That was like the most miserable and unhappy that I've ever been, and I pray to God I never get back to that place again. But that's what brought me back to the Christian faith, was that I just needed something, because I felt like nothing could help. And once I stepped foot inside that church, you guys, everything changed. So I will say that when you feel like you're in an inclusive and inviting space, you will feel accepted. But there are a lot of instances where a lot of the folks, the elder folks more particularly in the church home, make people feel excluded, judged, and feel isolated, which makes them want to steer away from the church. So as I stated, Christianity has now become more inclusive and more accepting, and that has even come back to social media. Thus the rise of Christian influencers, the girls that you wouldn't expect to be a Christian influencer. They're not dressed like the Duggars or the Handmaid's Tale. This is not to judge them, but I'm saying these influencers seem more relatable to the average person, which can lead more people to go into the Christian faith, which is what I believe is bringing more people back to the faith. But y'all, these influencers are starting to get on their high horses and making people feel rapidly uncomfortable. So let's highlight a few influencers that have decided to go back into their Christian faith or decided to join the Christian faith. And the first person we're going to speak on this week's hot topic, Amani Speaks. So Amani Speaks is a content creator and a podcaster who used to be a bottle girl. She was mostly known for making content on decentering men and Nakers ain't ish and F-men politics that we have seen be very prevalent on social media in the past decade. She has recently, this past year, started to create more content that is more catered to Christianity. She is one of many that has now gone this route.
I moved to Atlanta, was working a good full-time job at the bank. Also at this time, I was working in the clubs as a bottle girl. I worked as a bottle girl in Atlanta for about 3.5 years. Even though I never liked the job, I never felt too bad about it, I guess. But I remember vividly, like it was yesterday, I'm sitting at my job in my fishnets and leotard. That was, the uniform. And I just listened to the music and I just saw what everyone else around me was doing. And when I tell you guys, the energy felt so demonic. For the first time ever, and I had been in this environment for years, for the first time ever, I was like, I feel it. There was something in the room that I was just like, Amani, get out of here. I think that God knew that I had gotten so comfortable with the money that he probably knew I would never leave unless I was forced out. And that's exactly what happened. Before I got a chance to quit that job, I was fired. That was God pushing me out because he knew, girl, you're never going to leave. You are comfortable here. This money is making you comfortable. So he literally forced me out. And in December of 2023, that was the last time I worked for somebody else. Period. And ever since then, it has just been me making money off of social media and me advancing my podcast. So that's exactly what I do right now.
And yeah, I don't see anything wrong with this. I think it's a beautiful thing. I love seeing people's testimonies. I love seeing people actively seeking God. It is a wonderful, wonderful thing. When you become a Christian or try to grow a closer relationship with God, your heart will change, your desires will change, your passions will change. That is more than expected, and I respect it, okay? I so do. But many have been finding that Amani comes off as very judgmental in her Christian-centered content. Take a listen to this.
And that's a misconception that people have about me too. They keep thinking that I'm a new Christian. No, I'm not. Saved and baptized before the age of 10. I served in my church. I read my word. And that's why it's so easy for me to hop right back into it, because it was what I was already doing. I lost my relationship with the Lord out of frustration in my life. And then I moved to Atlanta and did whatever I wanted to do for the past not the past 6 years, but for 6 years, I just did whatever I wanted to do when I moved to Atlanta. So this ain't no new Christian over here, boo. This is more of a prodigal son story. I was with the Lord, and then I was in disobedience and left him. And when I saw that the world ain't have nothing for me, I came back to him. And now look at what I'm doing now. My story is the prodigal son story, or prodigal daughter. It ain't no new Christian. Clock it. Clock that T. I always knew I was going to come back to my relationship with the Lord because I had it to begin with. I always knew I would. And it just took the Lord intervening on my life the day that I stepped back into a church for me to be like, okay, I'm done. The Lord called me out of what I was doing before. He said, enough. Time to get back to what you were doing before. So this ain't no new Christian story, boo. This is me getting back to what I was doing before.
And a lot of people took to Amani wrongfully, and a lot of people find it very interesting that she went from bashing men to now all of a sudden she's talking about how to become a wife or how to become a woman of God in order to find your husband. So it's like, are you now this modest woman because you're trying to find a husband? Or is it because it's really authentic? Now, I like Amani's content, okay? I never was a follower of hers, but she would always pop up on my For You page on TikTok, and I would listen to all her videos, and I mostly agreed with a lot of the stuff that she said. However, I do believe that Amani has always come off as a bit harsh and judgmental, if that's what you want to call it. She's very matter of fact. Like, she said what she said it how she said, and that's what it is, and y'all gonna either accept it or y'all gonna have to exit stage left. So she seems to be a very confident woman. We love it. Amani has recently gone under fire for some things that she said recently. She recently has shared some thoughts on rapper Glorilla's new album that has some, might I say, controversial features on the album. The album features gospel artists Kirk Franklin, Kira Sheard, and Maverick City Music. But Amani and others, okay, I'm not gonna just say it was Amani, expressed extreme disapprovals of these collaborations. This is mostly due to Glorilla being known for having raw, raunchy, and explicit lyrics in her past work and then also on this album. I mean, she literally has a song on this album as well featuring artists like Sexy Red. So she's known for this type of stuff. But let's take a listen to what Amani had to say on this.
The fact that there are some gospel artists, I think it's Kirk Franklin, Chandler Moore, on Glorilla's album. People are justifying it with, you never know how God can use that situation. What if they can break through to somebody with that song because they're talking about God in that song? So basically what that justification is that these gospel artists can go and intentionally put themselves in rooms with people who are doing the opposite of what they're doing, and they can rub off on those people and have a positive impact on people who listen to trap music. Do not be deceived. Evil company corrupts good habits. The more you intentionally position yourself and align yourself and go into business or do dealings with people that are going against the word of God, right? It's more likely that their bad habits are going to corrupt you, not the other way around. For the people saying that Maverick City and Kirk Franklin could plant seeds in Glorilla's album that could lead people to the Lord, does that negate the fact that they shouldn't be doing it in the first place? No. Two things can exist at once. You can be in direct disobedience with what the Lord tells you to do, but he can ultimately make it work for his glory. The Lord can take any situation and make it for his glory. But does that negate the fact that you shouldn't have been doing it in the first place? No. Because God can take disobedience and make it for our good. There is grace even in our disobedience, and even the fact that the Lord allows us to disobey him. We have got to stop acting like we can do whatever we want in our lives just because the Lord is going to forgive our sins and that there is grace. How are you ever going to grow in maturity? How are you ever going to grow in your relationship? How are you ever going to know the Lord more when you're constantly going backwards? If you sin and you're comfortable in sin because you know the Lord is going to forgive you, you should really reevaluate where you are with him.
Now, I can see where she is coming from. Do not get me wrong. I can see it. I can see it. I can see it. However, okay? There's always a however. I feel like her message and other creators similar to her pushing the same idea, it will just push non-believers further away from Christianity. And I would even incorporate not just her message, but also her delivery. It sounds very judgmental. It sounds like I don't want to sit at your table. It sounds like I don't want to be a Christian. Now, obviously, someone like me who identifies as a Christian, hearing what she had to say is not going to stem me away from Christianity at all. But the people that were on the fence or just don't believe in Christianity at all, yeah, if I were one of them, I probably would not care to join the faith solely based off of her message alone. I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with Glorilla having gospel features. Now, I will say, when I did first see that she was going to have these gospel artists featured on her album, I did give the side eye just a bit. But after sitting and delving in, I was like, wait, I don't think that's that terrible, because who mostly listens to Glorilla's music? The youth, young girls, the hotties, the city girls, the YNs, whatever y'all want to call it. That's who's listening to her music. So if people happen to hear a feature on that album that has those artists on it that are promoting Christianity, promoting the gospel, that can potentially save lives, and that could potentially lead people to Christianity and want to hear more about it. I do believe that there needs to be a clear line between Christianity and worldly behaviors. I definitely believe that, okay? I'm not saying we need to be listening to bop. Let me stop. I do not believe that we should be listening to that song in the church. That is incredibly inappropriate. But if there is a raunchier song that is remixed into having more wholesome and godly lyrics that is meant to draw more of the younger generation into the church, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And plus, R&B artists have been collaborating with gospel singers. This has been the norm. I mean, Jesus would literally sit and hang out with well-known sinners, including prostitutes. Yeah, I said it. Jesus would hang out with prostitutes. For example, in Luke chapter 7, verses 36 through 50, a woman who was described as a sinner, often interpreted as a prostitute, she anointed Jesus' feet with her hair and her tears and kisses. And Jesus chooses to forgive and defend her actions. And he made sure to emphasize forgiveness and love over judgment. However, it seems a lot of Christians, and even someone like Amani, choose judgment over compassion. And given that Amani used to be a bottle girl, and I believe she's based in Atlanta, is absolutely absurd. And this is not to come for her, okay? I am not coming for her being a bottle girl. I am not coming for her to choose a more modest lifestyle. But if God can give you grace from being in these Atlanta clubs, and y'all know the Atlanta clubs are going to be playing raunchy, explicit, suggestive lyrics, and those are the type of individuals that are even in those clubs as well. But if God can give you grace, you can give others grace who are deciding to listen to this music. And I don't even think it's a grace thing. I don't think that they're doing anything necessarily wrong. wrong by listening to a song that's featuring a gospel artist. When Kirk Franklin first came out, and even Marvin Sapp, a lot of the elders were so against it, okay? My grandmother, when she listens to gospel music, it's very slow, like this. And Kirk Franklin decided to bring a spin of it because he saw the young people were loving hip-hop, they were loving R&B, and that's where we got great songs like Smile and Stomp, okay? It should be the norm to try to incorporate the younger generation and people that are considered to be so far left from Christianity to bring them back into the faith by stepping into their territories. Jesus's ministry literally teaches compassion, redemption, inclusivity. So who are we to judge others when Jesus literally blesses us and gives us that grace? I do believe if she's not trying to judge other people, that she should at least try to change her delivery, okay? I know that sometimes preaching with conviction leads to results. I get that. But when you're always just in a state of conviction, it's going to just rub people the wrong way. And I'm not saying that you should only preach in order to make people feel comfortable, because sometimes, yes, we have to be uncomfortable. But child, if this many people are feeling like they are not feeling what you have to say, I'm sure that there has to be some accountability taken in that realm. So here is some discourse that people have said about Amani and her thoughts on Glorilla, and not just her thoughts on Glorilla, but her whole transition into the Christian faith and how quickly she has been able to transition her life versus other people. Take a listen to this.
The issue that I have with Amaya and everybody else who are self-proclaimed, self-righteous, I am better than you Christians, has absolutely nothing to do with them being Christian. You getting up here doing a rebrand publicly so that you can make more money, because that's what it is. I'm going to always clock it every single time. The things that these women do when they convert, revert, rebrand as a Christian girly is like clockwork. Y'all do the same shit every single time, and it makes us have this conversation every single time. So I'm going to make it very plain and very clear. We never had an issue with you being a bottle girl, number one. We don't give a how deep your faith is. You care. That is a you problem. You are projecting your own insecurities of your faith onto us. Because now the conversation is you trying to tell everybody else what being a Christian looks like and what it's supposed to look like. Getting on here, trying your best to condemn Kirk Franklin for doing a song on Glorilla's album. But see, everybody is saying a couple of different things. I'm gonna change it. A few people are saying, well, how do you know that he's not, creating a message and that he's meeting somebody on their path? It's not even that deep. I'm a level it for you. Did you know that you could make music, cursing, talking about sex, talking about whatever, and still be Christian? You could be a bottle girl. You could be a stripper and still be a Christian. But not only that, you could be a better Christian than somebody who was in the pulpit. Now clock that. And this comes in point my main issue with people who are overly religious and make being religious their personality. They don't know how to decipher. They don't know how to read scripture and develop nuance of it. They don't know how to apply scripture to real life without condemning other people, because they themselves don't really know how to digest information.
You want to know why everybody is so triggered by Amani? And I'm speaking about Amani Talks, the young lady with the podcast. She went from topics of discussion about decentering toxic black men, toxic masculinity, and now she's converted into this new religious individual. She has this new profound look on life, and she's a converted church girl, and now she's claiming that everybody has an issue with her converting her content or what have you into what it is now. Aside from her being condescending, I'm going to tell you why everyone's so triggered by Miss Amani. Amani is a covert narcissist. Okay, I believe she is. And this is the same black female narcissist, the elderly black woman in our families, our aunties, our grandmamas that are all pick-me's, they're male-centered, they're misogynistic. Amani is no different than these black elders in our families, and I'll explain why. The black church is so full of these hypocritical elderly black women. They're all pick-me's. They all have a past. They all were sleeping around back in the day. A lot of them got multiple baby daddies. These are the very same women who stand by abusive black men in the church. Remember how these black women, these elders, would pass judgment on the younger ones. They would talk about, look how fast she is in the tail. They sit up and they pocket watch. I wonder how much money she making. Yeah, I heard she work over at so-and-so. Yeah, she related to the Williams over there. I know that family. They all got, dirty men in their family. They sit up, they gossip, and they talk down on others. They're very condescending, and they love to talk down on younger women because of their newfound, relationship with God. And that has absolutely nothing to do with Christianity or being a woman of God. A woman of God does not behave in a condescending, nasty, Jezebel manner as the covert female narcissist does. Again, the black church is full of these covert female narcissists. The black covert female narcissist is also cosplaying as a Christian, a perfect woman. We have these elderly black women in our families, and the black church is full of them. And that's all Amani is doing. Amani is cosplaying. Okay, she's not being an actual Christian. She's cosplaying as the perfect Christian girl. She went from bottle girl overnight to Christian girl, and now she's better than everybody. No, she's not. She's so lost. She's so delusional, and she displays narcissistic traits. She displays traits of a full-blown covert narcissist. And this is typical behavior of the black female narcissist in the black church. The church is full of them. That's why people are triggered, because we have women like this in our families. We have elderly black women that are in church every Sunday, but their lives are fucked up the rest of the week. They're the main ones gossiping. They're the main ones condescending and tearing down people, especially young women. They think they're better than, they think they're holier than, and they got the most skeletons in their closet. So that's the issue with Amani. She's going to switch up again because it won't be, she's wearing a mask. Now, you just sat up here and talk down to so many others like you're better than. Make sure you stay on top of shit. Because the moment you slip and the internet hears about it, maybe they're going to rip you a new ass. I said what I said.
I see a lot of online discourse about me right now because people don't like the fact that I'm talking about God now, but I used to be a bottle girl. But let me clear up the confusion. That's the whole premise of Christianity, boo. Clock it. That's the whole point of following the Lord. Your life should look different. The Lord takes you out of what you were doing before. He takes you out of your sin. He takes you out of loving your sin. He makes you a new creature, and now you're doing something new. That's called growth. That's what you should be doing. But I'm not surprised at the genuine confusion, because so many people see these false examples of Christians who go to the club Saturday night, get drunk, go to church Sunday, and do it all over again the next week. They still love their sin. So many people see these false examples of people that never changed their life to follow the Lord, but they have man of God, woman of God, God first in their Instagram bio, but you do not see a change in their lifestyle at all. So when people actually see someone changing their life to follow the Lord, they're confused. They're not used to it. But I'm also not surprised either, because didn't they do the same thing to Paul when he was still Saul, murdering Christians? That man was on his way to go murder more Christians when the Lord stopped him in his tracks, blinded him for 3 days, said, "Why are you persecuting me?" Turned his life around. That man went from a murderer to a preacher. And the Jews were like, ain't this the same man who was murdering Christians? And we know that Paul wrote more than half the New Testament. So I'm not surprised that people are confused, but I'm just clearing up that confusion. If someone says that they follow the Lord and their life does not look different than it is before, you should question that. Don't question when you actually see the change. That's the whole point.
We're all on our own journeys. Yeah, you may have been somebody that was able to transition every aspect of your life in 8 months, but it may take somebody 5 years. It may take somebody else 30 years in order to get to where you are in your faith journey. You may be able to cut out alcohol today, but I may not be able to cut out alcohol for another 10 years. You may be able to take out secular music in a week, but I can't take out secular music for another 6 months because it's my journey, not yours. Okay? Now let's get into the next creator. So the next creator we're going to be discussing is Ariana Cozy. I really hope I'm pronouncing her last name correctly, but yes, I think it's Ariana Cozy or Cozy. So Ariana went viral back in, I believe, 2022 or early 2023 for working at Home Depot. She took a selfie of her in the bathroom at Home Depot, and it went viral because she is a beautiful girl. People were mainly saying that she was too pretty to be working at Home Depot. I don't know what that means, but that's what the people were saying, and that's what really made her go viral, and she gained a mass amount of followers very quickly. In this situation, she ended up being doxxed online. People found her address, they found out where she worked, so she was forced to quit that Home Depot job. And it intensified even more when people were encouraging her to go and start an OnlyFans so she could make even more money now that she left this job. And she stated that this situation in particular is what led her to grow a closer relationship with God. So I absolutely loved her story, and given the fact that her situation happened along the time that I was going through my own stuff and I was trying to figure out my relationship with God, I was a follower of hers. I watched her videos, I liked her content, I interacted with her content in general. until a certain point. To me, it seemed she pushed more negativity than positivity and was constantly telling Christians what they shouldn't be doing. Similar to Amani, her tone was very judgmental to me, okay? That may not have been her intention, but that's how it came off to me. So I decided to no longer follow her anymore. If I don't like somebody, I'm not following them, okay? And it's not that I didn't not like her personally, but I just wasn't a fan of the content of it just being always negative, what we shouldn't do. I just don't like stuff like that. I appreciate more positive Christianity or more positive pushing of Christianity. So one aspect of content that she would make would be her talking about how you shouldn't listen to secular music. And then she started listing off artists. She was naming like every artist in the book. She was naming SZA, Beyonce, Janae Aiko, just a lot of people, and obviously the obvious ones like, you know, Sexy Red you shouldn't listen to, even Glorilla.
Alright, so I'm gonna do a video on artists that I do not listen to or like to listen to because I feel like their messages are very demonic or secular. Number 1, y'all's Queen Bee, Beyonce. And I know you're gonna eat me up for that, but I don't listen to her, and y'all know why. This woman literally talks about taking pages out the Bible and stuffing it up her coochie, which is actually a whole ritual to the devil. Go do your research on it, but yeah, no. Next is SZA, and a lot of people are like, oh my god, not SZA. Y'all, if y'all listen to her new album, she would rather be in hell than be alone. She says, comfort in my sins. What? Are you comfortable sinning? I don't get that. Next, we got Jay-Z, Kendrick Lamar, Drake, Doja Cat. I actually like Drake, and that's what's crazy, and that's an artist that is really hard for me to just stop listening to because I be messing with some of his music, but no. Summer Walker. So next we have Lotto. We got The Stallion, Sexy Red, Ice Spice. Honestly, the list can go on and on, but those are just some artists. I might do a part 2, but the reason why I say a lot of these artists is because they might not be sitting over here saying, you know, demonic things, but their message is vulgar and it's against God's word. And us as people have to understand that we cannot be listening to stuff like that and encouraging the youth to listen to things like that. Like, when I hear these artists on the radio, I'm like, bro, my little sisters and my little brothers are listening to this stuff and they think it's okay. It's not, and that needs to stop being normalized.
But if we're being quite honest, any music that isn't like, oh, I love God, I love Jesus Christ, that's considered secular music. It's every music that's not gospel music. So I feel like that's unrealistic. We're going to listen to secular music. It's almost inevitable in today's world to completely cut off secular music.
This is my take on secular music. You are never going to not be listening to it. Just like light and dark and flesh and spirit and God and everything else, there is no in between. It's either secular or not secular. Non-secular music is music that is just dedicated to worshiping God. Everything else is considered secular. You cleaning up on Sundays and listening to all the oldies, secular. When you watching Disney with your kids and you're listening to all the little Disney songs, secular. When you're listening to your sweet little country love songs, secular. When it's the holidays and you're listening to your Christmas music, secular. No in between. It's either secular or it's not. And as a Christian, I'm saying I'm always going to be listening to secular music in some form or fashion. What matters is, and this is the part that for whatever reason a lot of people like to miss the mark on, it's about your heart posture. If you know you are dealing with a lustful heart, you praying for deliverance and to be more pure, you out here listening to songs that's telling you to bust it wide open and be on demon time and suck it in, what makes you think that's okay? If you know you got an angry heart and you out here listening to songs that are promoting hate and anger and killing people, what makes you think that's okay? Stop condemning people about secular music. Everybody's gonna have individual convictions about it. At the end of the day, you don't want to be consuming anything that is going to push you towards making decisions out of your flesh and not your spirit. Absolutely, I have been convicted over certain artists and songs. But that's with everything in life, y'all. You should be practicing discernment in every single area of your life.
But there are Christians that expect you to take these extreme measures in order to say that you are a Christian. And I just truthfully find that to be unfair because in today's world, in order to be considered a devout Christian, you almost have to take out every aspect of what is considered fun, okay? It's like you literally could only just stay in the house and read the Bible, and I don't think that's what God intends us to do. But people like this creator, Ariana, and people like Amani even now, it seems they expect expect Christians to do just that. There was another video that I saw of her. I actually saw this video after I followed her. It may have popped up on my For You page, or I saw someone stitch her video. But there was this movie called The Deliverance that came out back in July of this year. And it was a movie that featured a mainly black cast, and it was a horror movie. And Ariana basically made a video saying that she's not watching that movie because it's opening your spirit up. If you watch any movie about demons, if you watch any horror movie, you're opening your spirit up, you're opening your soul up to just negativity. So she said she wouldn't even watch it, period. She wasn't looking at a trailer. She doesn't care. She's not watching it.
I was on live yesterday and a lot of you guys was like, oh, have you watched The Deliverance? Have you watched The Deliverance? No. Literally, I saw like just a small glimpse of the close. My Holy Spirit close. Like, y'all, I think y'all are not seeing like the deeper message of this, that you're opening portals. Like, do not watch movies like that, okay? Like, do not watch it. It's not for educational purposes. It's literally demonic portals. Even the characters that you're watching in those movies, look at the spirits behind them. Like, look at the spirits behind them. And some people are going to take offense to that, but look at the spirits behind some of the actors in the movies. They had to have a preacher on the set of the movie. Why would you want to watch a movie where they had to have a preacher on the set of the movies? Why would you want to watch a movie where they literally experience real life demonic things happening while filming the movie? One of the actors literally said he'll never film a movie like that again. I seen literally 1 second of the trailer and closed it because it looked dark and demonic. So yeah, I won't be watching it just because I'm not trying to allow any type of demonic entities into my realm. Sorry, no. I don't need to watch anything to see deliverance because I've been delivered and I know that it's real, and I had to have a prayer circle around me and people filled with the Holy Spirit to cast demons out of me. So yeah, if you did watch it as a Christian, I pray that you pray over everything, anoint yourself, pray over yourself, because child, you're just letting things into your elements.
However, if she actually sat and watched the movie, she would know that movie literally was promoting how powerful Jesus' name was, how powerful maintaining your faith is, and how powerful the tongue is when you call out on Jesus' name. That movie brought me to tears at the end, okay? To me, I think that a lot of the times Christians are so quick to say no, 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 without having a valid explanation. I can understand you not wanting to watch certain movies because there are some things that I'm just not even going to hold myself susceptible to. You will never see me bring a Ouija board in this house. You're never going to hear me reciting out spells and talking about curses and going to places that are known to be haunted. That's not going to be me. You will never catch me doing that. But there's other things that I think can just be seen as entertainment. And I think that some things just aren't that deep. And also from my understanding, from what I've heard, is whenever your heart and your soul and spirit is protected by God, can't nothing lift that shield up. So that's something else that I'm confused about. She also recently made a video when I was looking up her videos for research for this video, talking about the movies that she's not going to watch. And she mentioned the movie Hocus Pocus.
Here are some movies that I would not watch as a Christian woman. And I'm talking about these movies in particular because, you know, Halloween season's rolling around. You know, the glory of death and all that other stuff is about to be magnetized. So we're just going to talk about some movies I wouldn't watch. Number 1 being Hocus Pocus, y'all. Okay? Witchcraft, witches, anything with that, don't watch it, okay? Like, I wouldn't even take the risk. Which leads me to Harry Potter. Don't even take the risk. Y'all, I seen a video and they were saying that Harry Potter was using real spells. And y'all know I talked about this with Vampire Diaries. They were doing the same thing in that show. So just don't even watch those shows, okay? Like, don't even watch that movie. Don't even entertain it. And I know a lot of people are big Harry Potter fans. Like, I literally went to Disney 2 years ago and I was like, oh my gosh, Harry Potter, because I used to read the books and stuff. So yeah, no.
And I understand the movie is about witches, but it's literally a kid's movie. It's like you can't have any ounce of fun at all when you're a Christian, apparently. And that kind of confuses me, and it kind of makes me sad because I'm like, what is it that Christians are allowed to do? It seems like we can't do anything. We can't even embrace and enjoy a little bit of Halloween fun. And I know Halloween is considered a pagan holiday, but if I'm not celebrating it in a pagan way, why does that matter? If I'm celebrating it just for the fun of it and just for my kids to go and get candy and be able to dress up as their favorite characters, why does it always have to have like such a deeper meaning? And why does everything need to have a discourse? So things like this is what kind of like upsets me, because I feel like it just further pushes people away from how amazing having a proper and healthy relationship with God can and will be.
Low-key, I feel like some Christians be misusing the Bible to be judgmental. I'll be seeing Christians in the comments condemning people for doing something. If y'all see something you don't like or you disagree with, y'all be condemning people. In what world did Jesus die so you could just be judgmental? Did he not die for the opposite? We are called to judge other believers, but I want you to think about how Jesus judged other people. He created a relationship with them first. So y'all out here be judging strangers who don't even know your name and your username is 665_kitty cat. Number 2, it says go to that person one-on-one first. So y'all out here rebuking other believers in the comments because maybe you disagree with something that they did. Why don't you inbox them? Why don't you DM them? You publicly coming for them in the comments is not coming from a place of love. Truth in love. But sometimes Christians just be out here forcing their convictions on other believers who do not have that conviction, do not feel led by the Holy Spirit to do that same conviction, and then be doing it publicly, rudely. Stop using the excuse of being a Christian and then being a believer too to be like, you doing the right thing. The next time y'all get ready to comment under somebody else's video, I really want you to think about the heart posture y'all are coming at this from, because a lot of y'all think you're doing it for the right reasons and you're not.
So those are just the 2 women that I want to speak on when it came to judgment. And then just overall, when it comes to these influencers, there's smaller ones, there's ones that I personally know that have decided to become fully devout Christians, like follow the book Christians, and I've become very judgmental and come for women. And to them, it's like, I'm not judging women. I'm showing them the way of the Lord. Like, God says that you need to tell others how to follow him too. I get it. But a lot of their ways push people away. I'm like, why can't we kind of get people to join the faith by being kinder? Like, why does it always have to be a, you're wrong for doing this, you're bad, and you're going to hell, and if you don't follow these rules, you are not a real Christian? Like, that is the part that really baffles me and honestly annoys me when it comes to a lot of these extreme Christians. And then they produce children and then start pushing these beliefs on their children to an extremity at the same measures that they're doing that their adult selves, which in a lot of cases does not allow their child to grow up, formulate their own opinions and thoughts, and then grow their own relationship with God because you force them to do this. I wholeheartedly believe it's okay to introduce prayer, Jesus, and God to your children at a very young age, but it's like the extremism of things that they do as their adult selves because they chose to go this route as an adult. They're pushing it on a 9-10-year-old when the 9-10-year-old is just being a kid and trying to learn about themselves and discover themselves, and they feel like they can't do that because their parents are telling them everything that they can't do. That just irritates me so much. Every time I see a little girl being born into a extremist Christian family, I just always do a silent prayer for them because I'm like, y'all aren't even give this little girl a chance to grow into her own identity. Like, pushing such strong beliefs on a child typically does not end well. And I've seen it time and time again, and I'm sure y'all have even seen it. I think focusing on the community and demonstrating love, empathy, and service will entice more people to join the Christian faith. Teaching and allowing grace and forgiveness is another important and crucial aspect to allow people to feel welcomed once they join the Christian faith. I feel like it just can all be so simple, but a lot of people take the extreme measures by being judgmental and being extremist, which further pushes people away from the faith and makes them become that Christian mean girl influencer. All right, you guys, so that is the end of today's video. I, of course, want to know what you guys think in the comments down below. What are your thoughts on the extremism of Christianity? What are your thoughts on trying to incorporate more people into the Christian faith? And what are your thoughts on these Christian mean girl influencers? Do you guys think that I'm being extra? Do y'all think that they should be being extreme? Let's get the discussion going in the comments down below. We are on the road to 300,000 subscribers, so please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video. And of course, come back for the next video. I love and I appreciate the support so much, and I will see you all in my very next video. Love you guys. Bye. Mwah.
Taking you in this moment, come get close like you own name. Read your aura, you want more of all this love, you'll be your name.